Today's episode is brought to you by Fanatics. Fanatics is the world's largest collection of official fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. If you enjoy our show and are looking to buy a new jersey, sweatshirt, or hat, you can support us by going to podgo.co/fanatics and getting 25% off your next order. That's podgo.co/fanatics. Fanatics, officially licensed to everything. Welcome to the Bro Country Podcast. My name is Joey, and as always, I am joined by...
Hey man, it's Chris over here. What's going on tonight, Joey?
Not a whole lot, man. Just ready to enjoy this weekend off work and listen to this new Morgan Wallen album some more, man. What do you got planned?
Oh, that's about it, man. We got a good one tonight. This is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, guys, and speaking of being a fun one, we are going to be talking Morgan Wallen tonight and his new album, Dangerous. Gonna give a little background on Morgan, kind of his career and how it's just blown up over the last few years, and as always, rank and talk about our favorite songs off of Morgan's new double album, Dangerous. But first, we'll go ahead and jump into our news out of Nashville. There's a little bit going on in Nashville this week, not a whole lot. I did see that Brad Paisley and Blake Shelton are set to host the 95th anniversary of the televised Grand Ole Opry special, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's going to be. Opry country, kind of synonymous with each other, and the Opry is one of the only things that has continued through this craziness that we've been living through this last year. So, the Opry really has been a beacon for Nashville always, but especially this year. So I'm sure that this is going to be it's going to be a special event on when is it? The February 14th? I think it's a Sunday evening.
Yep, Sunday evening, February 14th. It's going to air on NBC, so you guys go check that out.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
And then we got some awesome news from Eric Church, the triple album, Heart and Soul, which I've heard mixed things on. I've heard it's going to be 25 songs, and then the track list came out, and I heard there's only 24.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I'm not too sure on that, but something that is cool, the first album is Heart, the second album is And, the third album is Soul, and they're all going to be released on 3 separate dates. And the middle album, And, is only available to the church choir. And from my understanding, based on the video that he put up on social media, the And album is only going to be available for pre-order on the white vinyl to the church choir. Is that
really?
Kind of the way you took that? Did you see that video?
People in Eric's groups are a little confused about the details of it. But that's kind of how I took it. Usually with Eric, the songs end up getting released at some point, so I would say that that's probably how it's going to be released initially. But a couple months, 6 months down the line, I'm guessing that everything will get released digitally. I would think.
I would think so too, and I think maybe he's just giving like early access to the choir, but we'll see.
And I think he recorded 28 songs in the hills of North Carolina, so there's probably a couple songs that he's holding back maybe for something special, I would think.
Yeah, because he said at one point in time or another that we will be able to hear the whole project of what they recorded out in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, like you mentioned, he may just be holding back a few of these. So, anytime you get new Eric Church, though, it's a good time. So, I can't wait for April to get here so we can hear the rest of this project.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean,
it's put out so far,
most of his records are short. I mean, Mr. Misunderstood's got 10 songs. Most of them are 10 to 12 songs. So this is by far the most music that Eric's ever put out at once. So
yeah,
it's gonna be awesome.
Which it's funny. I was talking to my wife today about how, Morgan just dropped a double album that was 30 songs, 32 if you get the Target exclusive, and then Church is dropping a triple, but it's only like 24, 25.
Yeah, it's fun.
But that's Eric, though, because like you said, he doesn't put out monstrous projects like that, so pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What else we got coming out of Nashville?
We got an announcement that Luke Combs is going to be doing a little concert at the Daytona 500 on February 14th.
Oh, man.
I wish I knew how to get tickets. I have no idea.
We've been searching all week.
I've looked on StubHub, Ticketmaster. I was doing Google searches. I can't find anything out. I don't know if you have to have tickets to the race or if there's like separate. Plus, you need tickets to the race. I have no idea, but it's not looking like a very probable trip for myself to get down there by
Oh,
February 14th.
if tickets become available, I'm going to be in Daytona on February 14th because that's
You better grab
actually
four.
the 1 year anniversary from when we saw him in Lexington last year.
Yeah, yeah. I cannot believe that was a year ago.
I know, man. It's
It's
crazy.
crazy. But anyways, that's pretty cool. That's a good sign, hopefully, of things to come here soon. That live music is coming back, especially after we got to go to the acoustic jam here a couple weeks ago. So
Absolutely, man. That was an awesome evening of music, man.
yeah, we didn't really talk much about that last week, but yeah, we got to go together with our women to see. There's a couple artists there: Dylan Scott, Russell Dickerson, Brantley Gilbert was a headliner, Riley Green, Matt Stell, Nico Moon, and Runaway June. And it was just a really cool setup how they had like 2 to 4 artists out at one time. And they would take turns, playing their acoustic sets. So definitely a cool experience, social distance and all that. Which it was kind of nice because you weren't crammed in with a bunch of people. But then it's kind of sad because you remember the good times of being packed in tight, just celebrating music with people. But
Yeah,
it was a good
absolutely.
experience.
It was a good experience, and I hope that everything went smooth that night and that they can do more of them. I mean, there was probably only a couple moments of the night that really felt like, like what music and concerts used to feel like. I know when Riley sang, "I wish Grandpa's never died." That was an amazing moment.
Yeah, that was probably the moment that it felt like I'm at a live show right now when the whole
Yeah,
crowd just got into it and started singing the chorus with him.
yeah, it was
That
pretty
was
awesome, man.
missed that feeling, man. It'd been a while, so
It
that
had
was
been, it
awesome.
had been for sure, man.
But yeah, that was a good time. Chris and I and our women had a great time there. And the last thing I've really got for the news out of Nashville was Lady A got asked to be members of the Grand Ole Opry this past week.
Yeah, did you see the video that came out last night?
I didn't, man. And sadly to say, the only reason I knew it is because you texted me and told me.
Well, so they were filming a segment for the 95th celebration that's coming up on NBC, and Darius Rucker walked out to introduce them for the NBC special, and at the very end of it, he asked them to be a member of the Opry. And they were totally confused by what was going on. It was, a lot of artists are surprised when they get asked to be members of the Opry, but because they're waiting to show it on the NBC special, there is no YouTube clip, there is no nothing. Hillary Scott's mom, Linda Davis, put a clip on her social media from some file sharing website that I've never even heard of. Like it reminded me of like early 2000s before YouTube was a big thing, and you would click on these videos of websites that you had no clue what you were even clicking on. But so I'm sure that's probably going to be one of the signature moments of that special, because Lady A's been together for 15, 16 years. They've played the Opry, I think, 87 times.
Wow.
And, Hillary grew up in Nashville, grew up around country music. So, I'm sure it was a pretty special moment. And I think they are the first artist that's been asked to be a member since all this has started, since the quarantine started. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they were shocked.
I think you're right. I don't remember anybody being asked over the past, almost year.
Yeah.
That's definitely exciting
pretty
for
crazy.
them and well deserved. They've had a good run and they still put out hits and everything. So
Absolutely, man.
all right, Chris. So yeah, super excited for Lady A to be asked to be in the Opry. They put out a bunch of hits over the years and they still continue to put out hits. But I think we'll let you talk the charts, and that'll conclude our News Out of Nashville segment for this week.
Absolutely, man. We're gonna hop into the charts with Morgan, because Morgan clearly dominated the charts this week. He's the first artist in the history of country music to debut at #1 on the Billboard 200 and #1 on the Hot Country Songs chart with "Wasted on You." So that's historic right there. There's a ton of stuff that we're going to get into once we get into the album, but #1 album of the week, obviously. #1 song on the Hot Country chart. And Luke Combs actually took the radio chart this week with Better Together. So that makes 10 out of 10 singles for Luke going to number one on the Billboard Airplay chart, which, I mean, the record before Luke to start a career was 4 in a row. And now Luke's done his first 10 singles to number one. So, I mean, that's, Morgan, people are going to get tired of it, but it's Morgan and Luke, Morgan and Luke. I mean, that's what's going on in Nashville right now.
I mean, they're owning the charts, man, and the fan bases behind both these guys are just ginormous. And
yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's awesome.
Absolutely crazy.
It's a good time to be a country music fan,
It is. Absolutely.
It really is. But, yeah, that'll conclude our News Out of Nashville segment for this week. Before we get into what we think about the album Dangerous, Chris and I just kind of want to talk a little bit about Morgan's career so far. The global superstar, I think it's safe to say now. Singer, songwriter, global superstar Morgan Wallen.
Absolutely, Morgan, man. Tell us a little bit about Morgan's background.
Yeah, so Morgan was brought into this world on May 13th, 1993, and he was raised in a small town in Tennessee, Sneedville, Tennessee. He was a son of a Baptist pastor, grew up loving and playing baseball, and he was actually offered a scholarship to play baseball in college, but chose to pursue music after suffering an injury in high school. And in 2014, and I've heard Morgan say this before on like interviews and stuff, his mom signed him up for The Voice, and it was season 6, which he didn't actually win. He was eliminated on the playoffs. And you guys and Chris, you may have heard some of the songs he sang while on the show. "Stay" by Florida Georgia Line, and his cover of "Story of My Life" by One Direction. Have you seen those clips?
Yep, for sure. Yeah, they've kind of taken a life of their own. I definitely did not watch that season of The Voice. I did not see Morgan while he was on The Voice, but I've definitely seen the clips since then.
Yeah, same here. I didn't watch I honestly still don't really watch The Voice, but I had heard of him and seen those like songs go viral and stuff, but I didn't really like know Morgan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was 2014. He was eliminated from The Voice. But during his time on The Voice, he met, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly, Sergio Sanchez. Yeah. And Sergio introduced Morgan to Bull Ray and Paul Trust of Panacea Records. Morgan shortly after signed with them and recorded quite a few tracks, and what came of it was his EP Stand Alone. Spin You Around was his debut song with Panacea, but later that year, Dirk Hemsath, introduced Morgan to Hard 8 Work Management Group, who got him in touch with Big Loud Records. Fast forward to 2016, and he signed with Big Loud Records, the company that's owned by Joey Moy, which is a huge name.
Yeah, huge name, especially right there in 2016.
Yeah.
He was one of, if not the biggest producer in Nashville at that time.
Yeah, he was peaking hardcore in that time, so that was huge for Morgan. And a little bit after signing with them, he dropped his single through them, The Way I Talk, in 2017. And during 2017, he toured with Florida Georgia Line on their Dig Your Roots tour, and also helped co-write Aldean's You Make It Easy.
Yeah, have you seen? He covers that song awesome. I mean,
it's great.
He does a great job on it.
I saw a video of it. Oh man, it's been probably 2 years ago. It kind of I saw it on Facebook. It kind of went viral, and everybody was blowing it up. And I saw it, and I was like, "Wow, he should have cut that." Now I like Aldean's, cut.
Me too.
But Morgan, woo, he can sing it, man. But then after that, he recorded Up Down with Florida Georgia Line, and then later dropped his third single that everybody in the world probably knows, Whiskey Glasses. That song went to radio or dropped, forgive me, I'm not sure, but it was July 30th of 2018, and it went on to be the #1 year-end song on country radio in 2019. Then, in July of 19, the fourth single dropped from If I Know Me, the album, and the song was Chasing You. Went to radio, and in August of 2020, If I Know Me reached #1 on the top country charts after a record-breaking 114 weeks.
Yeah, I think of those 114 weeks, I think Morgan was probably number 2 or 3 behind Luke Combs' debut and his second CD most of that time. But yeah, it took him a while to reach the summit there. But I mean, he was hovering near the top.
Yeah, he was most definitely. And then moving forward to 2020, Morgan dropped the lead single off his sophomore album, More Than My Hometown. And on August 14th of 2020, he dropped the second single, Seven Summers, and it broke the record for most first day streams for a country song on Apple Music, and he got his first top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart with that song debuting and peaking at number 6. And then at the end of last year, on November 11th, he announced that the new album, Dangerous, would be a double album, and that it was set to release on January 8th, 2021. And the way he announced it, we've talked about this on the show before, was through the short film slash music video for Seven Summers at the very beginning when they have their backs turned to the camera, I think, and it's showing like their jersey numbers on the baseball field.
Yeah,
so that was a pretty cool Easter egg. But, that's Morgan so far. The double album dropped on January 8th. It's had huge success so far the first couple weeks. I don't see...
That's a lot of stuff you threw at us there, Joe.
I'm telling you, man.
He's done a lot in a short amount of time.
Since 2015, putting out that EP, and then just to 2021, 5-6 years, he has just blown up. And, I mean, I think I saw something last week, and I know you're going to get into the first couple week numbers here, but... It was like the number one album in like 62 countries or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's huge. But yeah, he's doing big things, Chris. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how the album's been doing?
Yeah, so I mean, we jumped into it a little bit last week, but we wanted to save most of it for this week because we knew we were going to be covering it in depth this week. So I mean, the first week's sales, he did 265,000 equivalent units. Shoo. Of those 265,000, 184,000 units were just from streams, which equates to 240 million individual song streams. To put that in perspective, that's over twice the previous record. Now, obviously, the numbers are a little swayed because there's 30 songs on this project, but even still, I mean those are incredible numbers. He sold 74,000 actual either digital or physical album sales, so 265,000. These kind of numbers they're really hard to compare because the world of music has changed so much. Really. The streaming world has only been really heavy around for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, before that, most people still had CD players in their cars. At least half of the music listening public still bought CDs. So I mean, probably the last album that you could really compare this to, other than obviously Luke's second album, is Kill the Lights by Luke Bryan. Now that project did more, but it's just because the world has changed so much. It used to be that people bought their favorite artist CDs usually the first or second week, and then that was the only time that counted for that artist. Well, now because of streaming, the numbers last for years and years and years. I mean, look at Traveler, look at Luke's first 2 CDs, look at Morgan's first CD. I mean, people have listened to these records for years and years and years. So the numbers stay strong for years and years. So this album is going to be around forever. I mean, this is not an album that's going to disappear anytime soon.
No, I totally agree with you, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's going to be around for a long time, and it's just the way of the world now with streaming and everything. And artists have, they've had to get really creative with how they sell those actual units. With bundling them in with concert tickets. When you buy concert tickets, you get an album, or putting out like Morgan with the Target exclusives, putting 2 new songs on the Target exclusives that don't come out with on the streaming platforms. So
yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, Morgan didn't need, a lot of artists need to manufacture hype, and the way that Morgan's career has kind of progressed, he capitalized on this second album at the exact right time when his fan base was at its peak and when his career had reached a point that people were dying for new music. I mean, it's I spent today trying to look back in the history of country music at some comparables to this record, and it's really it's hard to find
Mm-hmm.
comparables to this record. I mean, you've got people, there's kind of two lanes to reach, superstardom in country music. You've got the people that come right out of the gate and they are immediate superstars. Garth Brooks, Florida Georgia Line, Luke Combs, just immediate, just
Yeah.
superstar right out of the gate. And then you've got people that, it takes a couple singles, but by the middle of that first record, the momentum is building and building and building, and the fan base is dying for that second record.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where Morgan falls. I mean, Up
Yeah.
Down and The Way I Talk were big songs, but they
Oh
were
yeah.
not songs that made him a superstar. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I agree. Whiskey Glasses was
Yeah,
huge for Morgan.
yeah, for
That
sure.
I think that one is the one that really got his momentum going, and then Chasing You obviously blew up. And then something that him and Luke, we keep talking about Morgan and Luke, but something they both do that's really beneficial to them is that they tease their music all over social media, much in
Yeah,
advance before it comes out, and they like to see how their fans react to it and how it does. And as hardcore fans of these guys, you kind of hate to see that sometimes because you're like, oh man, it's not going to be new to me anymore once the record drops. But then you're like, well, it's a smart marketing strategy because they're seeing what resonates well with their fan bases. So, I mean, Morgan, he covered, didn't cover, he played, on Instagram, TikTok, and all those different platforms, a lot of these songs before they came out.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
Luke does the same thing, and, it works for him. And it just gets the hype. It helps build that hype. And, he capitalizes the perfect timing where, like you mentioned, his fan base is at an all time high and dying for more. He just drops a double album on us. So,
yeah. I mean, I mean, we compare Morgan to Luke all the time, but I was thinking earlier. Morgan is 3.5 years younger than Luke,
yeah.
and Morgan is single, and Morgan is, he's definitely got the persona and the looks that people love, and his
Hmm.
fan base is, I mean, his fan base is super diverse, but he's also got a very hardcore younger fan base that
Yeah,
is all over social media and
definitely.
all over streaming and all over all of this. So I mean, he's really, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, I've got a list here of kind of some comparables to this record, and um, you know, um, I'm trying to think of the last couple times that something like this happened in country music. The last time was probably when Lady A dropped "Need You Now" as the lead single off of their second record. Lady
Hmm.
A's first record was a hit and it made them stars, but then "Need You Now" came out and it just exploded like crazy, and they sold 7 million copies of that record.
Hmm.
Um, you know what we talked last week with Keith Whitley. His second record came out, "Don't Close Your Eyes," and it's an iconic record. It made. I mean, we'll never know what would have happened to his career, but his second CD, took him to a whole nother level of superstardom.
Yeah.
Randy Travis is "Always and Forever."
Hmm.
Until Luke matched it last year, that record came out. It's a different time. It's in the mid '80s, but it took Randy to a whole nother level of superstardom. And
Yeah.
now that Morgan is at this level, he's not going back. I mean, this is he's here to stay. He's the him and Luke are the two new faces of country music, and
Yeah.
there's really no argument about that. And there's really nobody else on their level. I mean, it's those two guys that are carrying country music right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
crazy.
agree, and there's definitely artists that are very respectable artists that are doing great things in country music, but these two are the leading face of it right now. I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
And kind of to rewind back to your point, they just have such diverse fan bases
yeah,
that just reach you can we can both probably agree that Morgan maybe has like a younger fan base overall, but you see people in the Facebook groups of all kinds of different backgrounds, ages, that are just huge fans of both these guys, and it's crazy. And I've talked about this before on the show. I've got friends that are like pretty much exclusively pop and rap music, fans,
Yeah.
that listen to Luke and Morgan too, and that kind of they've kind of got them into country music. So I'm like, that's pretty cool that the fandom is just so diverse for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to the point where Luke and Morgan make country music, but they are music stars. They're not country music stars. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they've jumped to that level of, well, these guys are musical stars. They're not just country music stars.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just talented artists versus just being country artists.
Yeah. And I mean, for Morgan to do this, Morgan has never headlined an arena tour.
That is
Never. And
insane to me.
That's crazy. I mean,
Hard to wrap
obviously
your
with
mind
COVID
around.
going on, but even if COVID had not happened, he was going to open for Luke Bryan in 2020. So
Yeah.
he was not going to have. He was going to come out with this album, do these numbers, and he's never headlined an arena tour until now. I mean, that is crazy.
Insane.
I don't know if that's ever happened before.
Not that I can think of, and it's weird to me because and we've talked about this before. He's still kind of slated to open for Luke Bryan this year for some of these tour dates. But if you look on like StubHub and Ticketmaster, you'll see on a few of those dates his name isn't showing up. Did
Yeah,
you notice that also?
Yeah, and I think that people in some of the groups are starting to figure that out. And if he
Yeah.
doesn't show up to some of these of these dates, and people have paid secondary market prices for some of these tickets,
Oh.
it's gonna get ugly, really ugly.
I almost bought some to the show. Well, we had some last year to see Luke Bryan and Morgan at Riverbend in Cincinnati. But we were like, well, this pandemic's going to be ongoing for a long time, so we're just going to get a refund. So we got our money back.
Yeah,
And now I'm kind of like, kicking myself in the rear because seeing the aftermarket prices now, they're ridiculous. So, as always, that's nothing new to the concert or live event world. But I almost bought a set of tickets a couple weeks ago just to, secure them because they were, even on StubHub, they were kind of low for the lawn seats.
yeah,
And I just don't want to pull the trigger and pay that much money if Morgan's not actually going to be there.
right.
Like, I like Luke Bryan, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Luke Bryan, but I don't want to pay, almost $400 for 2 lawn seats just to see Luke Bryan, I've been there, done that, seen Luke Bryan a ton of times. Love Luke
Yeah.
Bryan, but don't want to.
There's really not a good answer to it though, because if you keep Morgan on the bill and he opens for Luke Bryan, he gets 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And then not half the crowd, but some of the crowd will leave, and the energy will, I mean, but if he cancels those dates and moves to his own tour, then half the people that bought the tickets are going to be upset. I really don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, man, I've got no idea. I'll be interested to see how it kind of pans out,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they'll come up with some sort of solution. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they move some of the dates from, let's say, Riverbend to like Great American Ballpark,
Yeah.
and then just let Morgan and Luke both have an hour and a half, and that might be able to fix the situation a little bit. Plus, it would let them sell a lot more tickets, which they easily could right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. If that, I'm staying hopeful, but if these shows even happen this year,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we were
crazy
just
to
talking
think
about that off air. I mean, we should know probably in the next month and a half what's going to happen through the spring and summertime. I would think.
I hope so, man.
I know.
It's going to be a long year if we don't get our live shows back,
I know. Another another year like 2020 is going to be hard to deal with for sure.
Yeah, no kidding, man. But
I do have, before we go any further, I've got one more comparison here, and I want to talk. I'm going to run this by you and tell me your thoughts on this and your memories of this, because this just happened in country music.
okay.
So the biggest comparison to this is actually, I think, probably Sam Hunt. In a lot of ways, Sam is really the first streaming superstar that country music had. A lot of people forget that because of what happened to Sam and his story and what kind of he disappeared for a while. But when you think about it, Sam's debut CD, Montevallo, went 4 times platinum, and he built momentum all the way through that record. And when the debut single from the second CD came out, Body Like a Back Road, it's probably the #1 streamed song in the history of country music just because of when streaming came out. I think it's got over 550 million streams just on Spotify alone. And then he just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
If the second CD had came out right at that moment, it's hard to tell what kind of numbers that CD would have done.
And it was really, not to get on a whole Sam Hunt tangent, but it was really weird that he just kind of disappeared when he did, because the momentum behind him was huge.
Yeah.
And I'm looking right now on Spotify, it's got over 569 million streams, Body Like a Back Road.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. Yeah.
Huge. And, you can say what you want about Sam Hunt, that he's pop or he's not real country or whatever, but what he does, he's good at, and he gets monumental streaming numbers. And, I wouldn't necessarily compare them as a similar style of artist.
Right.
But when it comes to being streaming monsters, they both are.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Sam, I think he probably just struggled with the fame, struggled with maybe the criticism. I mean, I think he had some, personal stuff going on, and he just really didn't chase the fame like a lot of the people do, and stepped away for a year or two. And I mean, he's back now. He's had 2 or 3 straight big hits in a row, and people love, people. I mean, like you said, he's not super country, but for what Sam does, he does it about as well as anybody does it. And he's probably going to be around for a while, but he's definitely kind of taken a step down as far as like Luke and Morgan. He's definitely the next step down. But it's hard to tell what could have happened to him if he had kept going right then after Body Like a Back Road.
Yeah, it would have definitely been interesting to see, man. But I can definitely see where you're coming from in comparisons to like just being streaming monsters. So I'm with you on that.
Just the hype that was around. I mean, it's hard to get as much attention and hype as Morgan has right now. Like it's probably it only happens every 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, only one person gets to do what Morgan is doing. Like I said, every 3 or 4 years. I mean, it's super rare.
Yeah, most definitely, man. But moving forward, what were your thoughts on this album, man? Or this double album, excuse me.
Man, it's hard to wrap my mind around this, because there's 5 songs on the track list that have been out forever that kind of really helped build Morgan's fan base. So those are included in this project. What do we got there? We got Cover Me Up, we got Heartless, we got This Bar,
More Than My Hometown,
and then Seven Summers. Yeah, so I mean, those 5 songs are huge hits, huge songs from Morgan. So I kind of view those as like almost like separate from this a little bit. I mean, they are part of the project, but in my mind, because they've been around for such a long time, some of them, especially Cover Me Up and Heartless, and then you've got, I mean, when I listen to the record, I do think that they did a good job at kind of keeping similar themes on the first record and the second record. The first record's more of a slower, melodic kind of reflective record, and a lot of breakup songs and relationship songs. And then the second record is more upbeat and it's more party songs. So they did do a good job at keeping that separate, but 30 songs is a lot of songs.
Most definitely. And I like how you mentioned that, those 5 songs almost seem separated from the project because they've been out for so long. And I kind of had the same thought when I was sitting down to do my notes for this episode. And, over the past couple weeks just listening to the record, I'm like, you want to skip those because you've heard them so many times and there's so many new songs on the album that you want to hear and think about so you can talk about them.
Yeah.
But they're all still really good songs,
Oh yeah. And I mean, as much as Whiskey Glasses took him to another level, in a lot of ways his cover of Cover Me Up took him to a whole nother level too, because it showed people that Morgan is not just the party guy, or he's not just the breakup guy. Like he can sing stone cold country and make it sound genuine. So I really think that cover really helped cement him in a lot of people's minds. And so it's been around for a long time. They the reason that they add these songs to a record is to bump up the streaming numbers, and I mean, it makes sense. I don't, you know, it's just the way that the game gets played. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't blame anybody for doing that. I mean, it's smart.
this is what it is at this point.
Yeah,
It's kind of
absolutely.
the another new normal,
Yeah,
putting out these songs. But
absolutely.
yeah, I agree with you on the thoughts on the album. It was kind of a sad album. There was a lot of like heartbreak, breakup songs with a couple like party anthems sprinkled in.
Yeah,
So it was good, and I read an interview that Morgan did, and he said that he prefers to write and sing the sad stuff. That's what he likes, but he knows that he's got to put in some like the party type songs. That's not an exact quote, but it was something along those lines. And
yeah,
I, I may have talked about this last week, but you can feel that energy when he's singing and performing, and even on the record that he's just more into that more heartbreak, sad stuff, and it may just be more relatable to him. I'm sure the party anthems are pretty relatable to Morgan too, but yeah, I thought it was an overall great Project. It was a lot of music, but I wasn't mad about it. Like I saw a lot of people commenting in these Facebook groups and online that it could have been 15 songs and been a great album, but there's too much filler in there. And the first listen through, I kind of felt that way. I
yeah,
was like, man, a lot of these sound very similar. This one's really good. This one's really good. This one's just kind of This one's really good. This one's really good. Filler, filler. But then the more I've listened to it over the past couple of weeks, it's just the full thing has just grown on me. And I'm like, this was like, for him, like a perfect project to drop and the perfect time to do it.
yeah.
You know,
Absolutely, man.
especially in a time when they can't tour and they can't play shows, and they are depending on album sales and streams and merch and all these things to generate revenue. And not only thinking for the artist, but he's doing this for the fans too that don't get to go to shows and see him perform live, and are sitting at home with nothing to do. So I think it was pretty cool that he made that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm always gonna want. I mean, imagine if he had released 12 to 15 songs now, and then waited, 11 or 12 months, and then we got another new album. You know what I mean? Like that. Just the way that my brain processes music. I like to get newer music more often, but just not as much at one time, because to me it makes each individual song less special. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's probably going to be some songs on this record that I just kind of forget about long
sure,
term, just because there's so many of them, and you end up paying attention to your favorite ones
yeah,
that are probably great songs that'll just kind of get lost on me. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
um,
I can see that. I can respect that. Yeah,
yeah.
most definitely. And there are just so many songs that and I don't remember ever seeing anything like this. But
No, I can. I mean, I don't think anything like this has ever happened in country music. But like you said, Church just announced 24 or 25 new songs, so it sounds like it's going to be maybe new norm for some of these guys.
will we get a quadruple album from Luke Combs? The world could want that and wish for it, but we'll see what the universe provides.
We're gonna get something. This is definitely gonna light a fire under Luke, and there's gonna be
Yeah,
something huge come out
he's
probably
got to do
later
something.
this year.
Yeah, yeah, he's got to do something to compete with these types of numbers. I mean, Morgan's crushing it, and then Chief's dropping that triple album, so might be
Yeah,
the new norm for a
absolutely.
little bit. We'll
It could
see.
it could be. I mean, I guess one of my other big thoughts that I had on the record is that when you think about people that have got to this level, like Morgan's level, Luke's level, even the previous generation, let's say Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean, like
Hmm.
they they have a way of making the songs feel like them. And these songs feel like Morgan Wallen. And,
Yeah,
I mean, like, those huge records that Aldean and Luke Bryan had, like, they got to the point where they knew exactly who they were as an artist and exactly what their fans were expecting.
hmm,
And this definitely hits the nail on Morgan. I mean, these songs feel like Morgan Wallen songs. He delivers them like Morgan Wallen songs, and most of these songs feel like stuff that is relatable to him. It's not him singing about somebody else. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They
from
feel
the heart,
very
genuine.
autobiographical and genuine. Yeah.
Yeah, very genuine, and I think it's a pretty diverse record too. Because I mean, you've got some stuff that some of us may consider is a little overproduced with instrumentation and, got a little bit more of the poppy vibe. But then you've got some piano, you've got some good instrumentation. Well, I wouldn't even say overproduced. That's probably the wrong word for it. But there's more of the beats that are more like pop beats, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got your your bonfire party anthems, which we all love. And then you've got your slow, kind of sappy, sad, or like lovey-dovey stuff, like "Sand in My Boots,"
Yeah,
And it's just a
absolutely.
very diverse record for Morgan, and it really shows his range of talent and what he's capable of doing with his voice vocally, and how he can deliver those different types of songs.
Yeah, I agree, man. For sure.
Overall, I think it was a super solid project. I'm stoked. I want to say I'm stoked to see what's next for Morgan, but who knows how long it'll be before we get another. Which I'm not complaining, and I'm not bored of this album at all. But I'll be interested to see when he drops more new music after dropping such a large project.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to tell. It wouldn't surprise me if 6 months from now he releases a couple songs, because I mean the way of the world now is you don't want to disappear for very long. Like you got, I
No.
mean Luke has kind of mastered that. Like every year or every 6 to 8 months you give your fans something tiny, and then you do a deluxe, and then I mean it's
What's the
you don't want
deluxe
to
going to be for
disappear.
Dangerous? Double Dangerous with
Right.
45 tracks?
Hey, you
Oh my
joke on that,
gosh.
but that could easily happen.
It could. It could.
Yeah.
I'm serious. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't complain about it.
That's right, man.
I'd be stoked. I'd buy it, stream it, whatever I got to do. Go to Target and then not get the 2 bonus tracks and then have to call customer service like I did.
That's right.
But
I'm sure they got a lot of calls that week.
oh yeah, they had told me, they were like, yeah, we've got a special code we've got to get to you, but I've got to get my supervisor to approve it. And this is a long story short. It was bought under my wife's Target account. She picked it up for us,
Yeah.
and so I had to give them her information, and they had to like look up the receipt on their like portal, on their online portal at Target headquarters or wherever they were at,
Yeah.
at the call center, and
That's
it was
funny.
just a mess. I'm like, I just want to hear these damn songs. But yeah, it was worth it. So yeah, overall solid project. I think we're ready to move on to our. Chris and I did a top 10 for this record. It was very hard for me to narrow down top 10 for this one.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean,
with being 30
yeah.
songs long. Um, but yeah,
But
we're
yeah,
going to
let's
go
do
ahead
it.
and do our typical ranking. If you guys are familiar with the show, we do our lowest to highest. If you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us here on the Bro Country Podcast. Basically, Chris and I will go back and forth, start at number 10, go all the way up to number 1 on our top 10. So I'll kick it off, man. At number 10, I've got Somebody's Problem.
Okay. Huge smash for him already.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great song. Great song. Number 10, I've got another one of the pre-release tracks, "Living the Dream."
Ooh, that's a good one. And that might be one of the most like genuine that that he wrote and put out, because he said that was his most like, I forget the wording he used, but like the most realist song that he's put, most deepest song or something that he's put out.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at the list. I probably should have put that one higher because I love that song.
I do too, and now that I'm looking at my list, I'm like, dang it, I should have put this on here and I should have taken this one out, but I was going with my gut when I made this list an hour before we recorded tonight. So
That's right, man. What you got at number 9?
number 9, you might be surprised by this. I've got Outlaw.
Yeah, I am surprised. See, that's one of those songs that's probably just gonna like. I like that song, but it's probably just gonna escape me a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I just keep listening to that one and I love it. I don't know. There's not anything super special behind it. It's fun. It's the duet with Ben Burgess. I mean, it's good, but it made my top 10 tonight. I don't know why. Can't really tell you, but I
Well, I
think
mean, some of
it's
these
solid.
songs are just so catchy, Joey. Like they just get stuck in your head. It's just, I mean, it's unbelievable how many times people are going to listen to these songs because they're so catchy.
Yeah, yeah, it is catchy for sure.
For sure, man.
But what about you, man? Number 9.
I think I've probably got one of your favorites at number 9, Silverado for Sale.
Ooh, that is one of my favorites.
Yep.
Good one. I love that one, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm sure you'll get to it here in a little bit.
We'll see. Number 8, I've got Blame It On Me.
Okay. See, that's a song that I think I've listened to it a couple times, but for whatever reason, I've just kind of skipped by it. So tell me a little bit about that one.
It's upbeat, it's fun, it's kind of this guy telling this girl, you know, if she's with her new guy and she's wanting to do all these country things, just blame it on him. You know,
Oh,
if you,
that's good.
I don't remember the exact lyrics off the top of my head, but if you want to shoot whiskey instead of drink wine, if you want to play them old country songs, just blame it on me. And it's just fun and upbeat. So I really like that one.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. I'll have to give that one another listen.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, man? Number eight.
Number 8, I've got the title track, "Dangerous,"
Ooh,
and it's
good
just
one.
it's the melodic structure on this one when he goes up and down, when he goes down, when he's doing the dangerous in the chorus, it's just an earworm. It's just stuck in my it's just stuck in my head. Like it's just a fun one that I cannot get out of my head. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It is a good one. I'm not, spoiler alert. I don't have it on my list, but it's a good one. And I remember when he teased it on Instagram a ways back, and it didn't really do much for me. I was like, it sounds good, but eh. And I hate to say that because it is the title track, and it is a good song, but I'm just not one of my favorites actually. So
Yeah, it's just one of those ones just stuck in my head, and it'll be there until I can, until I can get it out. It's funny.
yeah. But
Where you got at number 7?
number 7, I've got Silverado for Sale.
Oh, there you go. I knew it'd be on there.
Yeah, you already know. And I like that one, man. I think it's so fun. The guy telling the story how he wants to get married, selling his truck, kind of reminiscing about the memories he had, falling in love with this girl in the truck, and how it's basically he's telling this ad that he's putting in the back page of the paper, and he's selling this truck to the next kid that's going to be able to have his girlfriend and pick his girlfriend up and blah, blah, blah. Just kind of a lot of the songs on here, not a lot, but a few are like reminiscent of like young love.
Yeah,
And this one just kind of, encapsulates that perfectly, and just a cool song, man.
yeah. It's a good one.
What do you have, man? Number 7.
Number 7, I've got Rednecks, Red Letter, Red Dirt.
Ooh, that's a jam.
It is a jam, and it's just one of those I'm from the country kind of songs that Morgan is so good at. And I mean, there's a couple of them on here like similar to that, but this is probably my favorite one that's like that.
Oh yeah, I love that one, man.
Yep.
Number 6, I've got Me on Whiskey.
Me on Whiskey.
It's a good one.
Okay. That we haven't talked about that one in the last couple of weeks, so
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have to go back and give that one a couple more listens too.
You will have to do that, man. It's a good one.
Number 6. This has been out forever, but like I just said, I feel like it's really one of the ones that took him to the next level. Cover Me Up. His cover of Jason Isbell's Cover Me Up. It's so good. It's slow. It's a heartbreaker, but also a love story, and he just kills it on the vocal on this song.
Crushes it. Absolutely crushes it.
Yeah.
And I meant to kind of, touch on that when you were talking about it earlier, that it just kind of showed he wasn't just a party song kind of guy, and he could, had a very good vocal range and could do those type of songs. And yeah, it's awesome cover.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Number 5.
Here we go, top 5.
Top 5. I've got Quitting Time.
Oh, the Eric Church co-write.
Yes, which I had a note of that, which is a co-write with Chief, and it sounds like an Eric Church song. But it's good. Morgan killed it. I love that he cut this. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there's an Eric Church co-write on the record. There is a Chris Stapleton duet. So I mean, that's pretty much the previous generation, like telling Morgan, you're the guy now. Like Eric just did a duet with Luke, and now he's co-writing with Morgan. And Eric's not doing that with many people. So and Stapleton's not duetting with many people. So I mean, that's big stuff going on right there.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
But what do you have at number 5?
Song. Number 5, I've got "Wondering About the Wind."
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's just kind of a melancholy song that he does so good. I mean, it's probably similar to Chasing You and Seven Summers and just that melancholy style that Morgan has, man. He does it better than anybody.
I was gonna say that's what he does best, man. In my
Yep.
opinion, crushes it.
Yep.
Speaking of the duet with Stapleton, reigning in at number 4, I've got Only Thing That's Gone. The duet with Stapleton.
It's so good, man.
So good.
Yeah, it is so good.
I love it, man. I do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad, kind of heartbreak, sitting at the bar. My last drink's not the only thing that's gone. The vocal range for those guys when they both are going at it together is just.
I mean, they both have such like gravel and like grit in their voice,
Yes.
and they sound so good together.
They complement each other perfectly on this song.
Yeah, they really do. It's such a good one.
Yeah, that's the one I probably listen to the most. If you're not counting the ones that have been out forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 4, man. What you got?
So my number 4 is your number 1 song from last year. It's the
Nice.
it's the lead single, more than My Hometown. It's,
Nice.
I mean, other than Cover Me Up, I've probably listened to this one the most, and I'm still not tired of it.
I don't know what
it's
it
a
is.
killer song.
It's so good. I don't get it, but I listen to that one all the time, man.
I mean, he released This Bar as the first digital song from this project, and from everything I've read, they were going to go with that as the lead single, and then they teased More Than My Hometown and Seven Summers Online, and I guess the response for both of those was just so much, just so crazy that they had to they went in that direction, and clearly it was the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're rounding out the top 3, man.
Top 3, man. What you got?
Number 3, I've got Sand in My Boots.
Oh man, what a song!
That is a good ass song. I think a lot of people love it. I mean, I think it's probably the one I hear people saying the most that it's their favorite.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's the lead track. So everybody's gonna be listening to it. I feel like this one and Wasted on You are probably the two that have gotten the most steam from the new tracks.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. What do you have at number 3?
I've got 865.
Oh, that's a great one, man.
Yeah, it's
Another melancholy.
it is another melancholy.
Yeah, I'm
song.
like, I can't even talk right now. I'm like, melancholy? No. Yeah, another melancholy song that he just does so well, man.
He does. I mean, if if you're the best at doing a certain style, then keep doing it because there's a reason, and he kills it on this song.
Absolutely, man.
Okay, number 2, man.
Number 2, this may come as a surprise, it may not. I've got Seven Summers, one that's been out for a while, but it is one that I've listened to probably 1,000 times.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's. I mean, it's so. I mean, so he had the number 1 radio song in 2019 with Whiskey Glasses. He had the number 1 song in 2020 with Chasing You, and I think it's probably going to be impossible for Seven Summers to not be the number 1 radio song in 2021. I mean, it's he's just killing it, man. I mean, it's huge. I mean, Seven Summers, he performed it on Saturday Night Live, and it is massive, huge song for him.
Absolutely, my man. What'd you have at number 2?
Number 2 is is your number 3, Sand in My Boots.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
Such a good one, man.
It is, man. It's
Really
slow.
is.
It's piano. It's kind of a piano-driven track. It's slow, and it's awesome. It's probably going to be. I would think that it's either the next or maybe a couple singles down the road. But I think it's definitely going to be a single.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me a bit. And it's another one of those songs that is slow and just really shows like the grit in his voice, and the deeper vocal range that he's got.
Yeah.
So it is a very, very good song, man. But,
all right, man.
Number one, I had to go with my top streamed song of 2020, and that is More Than My Hometown.
Oh, I knew you'd go there. You love this song, man.
So good. I couldn't let 2020 down, even though 2020 let me down, and not go with my top streamed Spotify song. So.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
But yeah, I've got More Than My Hometown number 1, man. What do you got?
Well, I've got the Stapleton duet. Only thing that's gone. Yeah, it's my favorite. It's the one I've listened to the most. I mean, obviously I have a soft spot for Stapleton, so it was the first song that I listened to when the record came out, and it just sounds like they're sitting at a bar.
It does. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love that one. It was, I may have put that one at number one if you asked me tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so great songs. I don't know if you had any. I threw in some honorable mentions that I kind of played around with in my mind before making my list. I had
What you got there?
865, Whiskey My Way, This Bar, Still Going Down, and Country Ass Shit, because you got to have one party anthem.
That's right, man. That's right.
But those were, I mean, if I had to pick a 15 track record, if we would have done this as one album instead of a double, those would probably be my 15
Yeah, and that would have been one strong album right there.
for sure, man.
He's got. Their Seven Summers is climbing up the radio chart. He's gonna have at least 3 or 4, probably 4 or 5 more radio singles off of this. I think "Wasted on You" and "Sand in My Boots" are guaranteed radio singles, but "Somebody's Problem" is probably a guaranteed radio single. So, those 3 right there are immediate smashes.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell where they'll go.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I will be interested to see how many singles they do off this record.
Yeah, they could go for the next 2 or 3 years if they wanted to.
That's what I'm saying, man. They could, and with the momentum he's got right now, they'll all fly to the top.
Yeah, it's similar to Luke's last CD. They're probably going to release 1, maybe 2 more singles, but every song off that record could have been a number 1 hit, and it's very similar to this. They could pick pretty much any of these songs, and they're going to be huge for him.
Absolutely. But yeah, if that wraps up our ranking and our top 10 anyway. So don't come at us all crazy if your song wasn't in there. We're sorry.
That's right. Man.
We're just 2 guys with opinions and nothing special. But yeah. Anyways, man, moving on to next week, we've got a pretty exciting episode for you guys next week. We've got an up and coming independent artist. His name's Colby Acuff. He's going to be coming on the show for an interview. So if you guys haven't heard Colby yet, go check him out. He's got some good vocals. He kind of gives me like a Tyler Childers vibe. I don't know if you had a chance to really listen to much of him yet, Chris. Have you had a chance yet?
Yeah, I've listened to it quite a bit, and we love having up and coming artists on. We love figuring out what were their influences and what did they love and where did they see them their career going, and this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys go check him out. His name's Colby Acuff, Acuff. His debut album is Life of a Rolling Stone. So go check Colby out. We're really excited to have him on next week. But yeah. Until then, though, make sure you guys are following us on social media. We are all over. We're on TikTok at Bro Country Pod. We just surpassed 1,200 followers, which is crazy. It is TikTok. I'm like, we've only been on here for like a month, and people are following us, and it's weird to me that people are following us. But we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Streaming on all major platforms, you name it. Go check us out. We really appreciate it. And that is all I've got, man. You got anything else for this episode?
I think we're good, man.
All right, guys. Until next time, keep it country and take care of each other.